Hello students, welcome. In this lecture, we will see dielectric materials. So in the previous lecture, we have seen that we can classify material based on resistivity into two types. One is metallic materials, one is semiconducting materials, and one is insulating materials. So dielectric materials are a class of insulator which get polarized on the application of electric field. Now what is meant by polarization, that we will see in the next slide. But remember that these are insulators, so it's very difficult to excite electron from the valence band to the conduction band, and that's why there is no conduction in these materials. These are very poor conductor of electricity. They may exhibit electric dipole structure. Electric dipole means it will have positive and negative poles, and these are two, that's why it will called as dipoles. And if we can separate these dipoles by using any electric field, we can produce a charge, but that charge will be very less as compared to the conductor material. That's why these are insulating. First we will see some basic definitions. If we have a metal plate, if you measure the charge per unit voltage to that metal plate, you will get the capacitance. Now if we have a plate which is having area A and the thickness is T, that is the distance between two plates, and if we measure in a vacuum, we will get the capacitance using this formula. C0 is equal to epsilon 0 A by T. Epsilon 0 is the permittivity of free space. How much charge a free space can permit. So it will permit 8.85 into 10 to the power minus 12 farad per meter. Now if you place a dielectric material into that vacuum, we will get the capacitance using this formula, epsilon A upon T. So epsilon is the relative permittivity of the medium. Remember, epsilon 0 is the relative permittivity of the vacuum, epsilon is the relative permittivity of the medium. So there is a term called as relative permittivity. If you measure the ratio of these two, E upon E0, you will get the relative permittivity, and that is also called as dielectric constant, which is also given by C upon C0. So dielectric constant is indicative of the charge storage capacity of the material, because this is directly correlated to the C. How much charge your material can store, that we can shown by dielectric constant. So now what is mean by a polarization? For example, we have electric dipoles. As I said, we have two charges, one is plus Q and one is minus Q. This is one charge, this is another charge. So this will form a dipole. Di means two. These are two poles, and the distance between these two is given by D. Right? So if you measure the electric dipole moment of this one, it will be P equal to Q into D. So if you have a dipole, if you apply some field, that dipole distance will vary, and that we call as a moment. So basically moment is the moment of dipoles, that you can measure using P equal to Q into D. And this process of dipole alignment, this process of dipole moment is called as polarization. So polarization is total dipole moment per unit volume. So for many materials, the relation between polarization, that is P, and electric field E is given by P equal to epsilon 0 in bracket epsilon r minus 1 into E. So P is directly proportional to the electric field. So dielectric materials are having applications, but you need to apply some AC field. AC field means we have a field which is having a frequency, a certain frequency. So as soon as I said AC will have two polarities. One is called as positive polarity, one is called as negative polarity, and this polarity will continuously change as soon as the frequency changes. Right? So now how much time this will take for changing the polarity of the material? So if the polarity of the outer plate changes, the polarity of the material should also get oriented with respect to the outer polarity or with respect to the outer charge. that is shown here, and how much time it will take for this one, that we will find out now. Time we can find out using this formula, P into T is equal to P01 minus exponential of minus T upon TR. So here P0 is the maximum polarization that can attain by a system. This is the maximum polarization P0. TR is the relaxation time and T is the applied time. In how much time it will attain the state of polarization, PT. This is given by using this equation. So here TR is the relaxation time, and this relaxation time is required for a charge to orient between two dipoles or on the application of electric field. If you take reciprocal of the relaxation time, you will get the relaxation frequency. So we can say that suppose we have a dipole, if we vary the frequency of applied signal, say from 1 Hz to 10 to the power 6 Hz, so your dipole has to changes the polarity with the increase in the frequency, but at certain point it cannot change the polarity because the frequency is too much and we cannot follow the electric field. So at one point this dipole will stop responding to the applied electric field, that we call as relaxation time. So now there is another term that is called as dielectric loss or the power loss. It is the dissipation of energy throughout the movement of charges. So we have dipoles. These dipoles are continuously moving with the frequency. In this movement, it will lose some energy or it will dissipate some energy if it won't follow the applied AC field, and it will get relaxed or lose energy. We can call it as dielectric loss or power loss. So dielectric polarization can have four components, or a material can have four polarization present in it. One is called as electronic polarization, one is called as ionic polarization, one is called as orientation polarization, and one is called as space charge polarization. So the total polarization is given by addition of these four: PE, that is electronic, PI, that is ionic, PO, that is orientation, and PS, that is space charge. So now we will see these polarizations one by one. First, electronic polarization. So as we know that we have atom. In that atom we have positive charge and negative charge. So we have positive charge and negative charge. Now if on the application of electric field, if we can separate the positive and negative charge, that we can call as electronic polarization. So we can see here, this is the electric field, this is plus sign, this is negative sign of the applied electric field, and in response there is a formation of dipole in the crystal that is shown here. The distance between this is delta, and now if this happens, we can call that as a electronic polarization. This electronic polarization is available in all the sample or get produced in all the materials. This is independent of temperature. If you measure the polarization with temperature, there will be no change in the electronic polarization. And here the relaxation frequency is 10 to the power 15 Hz. It means that after 10 to the power 15 Hz, electronic polarization will not follow the applied electric field and it will get relaxed. Second kind of polarization is called as ionic polarization. This will occur only in the ionic materials. So as soon as I say ionic materials, it will have cations and anions, and this will get displaced in the opposite direction on the application of electric field, and it will create a dipole. This dipole moment of for each ion pair can be measured by using P equal to QD. The ionic polarization is shown in this figure. We have atom A that is having plus charge, we have atom B that is having minus charge. If we can separate the distance in these two, for example shown in for silica SiO, then we can have a polarization. This polarization is independent of temperature and the relaxation frequency is 10 to the power 13 Hz. Third kind of polarization is known as orientation polarization or dipole polarization. As the name suggests, if you can orient a molecule, that we call as orientation polarization. This occur in a sample which is having permanent moments. For example, H2O. H2O is a polar molecule. If we can rotate or if we can orient the molecule of H2O on the application of electric field, then we can call that as a orientation polarization. And here the polarization decreases with the increase in temperature, because the permanent dipoles or permanent molecule will get randomized and they will lose their orientation. And here the reduction frequency is 10 to the power 10 Hertz. Then the last is space charge polarization. Space charges are the charges which are free in the sample or which are accumulated in the sample, and these are generally unnecessary but they are unavoidable. We cannot avoid the space charges. These are generally free electrons, free ions or defects present in the sample. They are accumulated at the electrodes or at the grain boundaries in a sample. So as soon as you apply electric field, they will get attracted towards the negative side or positive side depending on the polarity. The space charge polarization is increases with the temperature, and the reduction frequency is 10 to the power 2 Hertz. Since these ions are very heavy in nature, they cannot follow the electric field for a longer frequency, and that's why their reduction frequency is very less. So now if we combine the polarization and if we plot the total polarization versus the frequency, x-axis is frequency here and y-axis is polarization and the power loss, we can get a curve like this. So here we can see that at this point the polarization is more. As soon as we increase the frequency, the polarization decreases in a certain fashion, right? So here we have more polarization because all four polarization, that is orientation, space charge, ionic and electronic, will contribute to the total polarization. As soon as the frequency increases, suppose this is 10 to the power 2 Hertz, here the space charge polarization will get relaxed and the contribution from space charge polarization will not be present after this frequency, and since there is a loss in the energy, we will have a peak in the power loss. Similarly, if you move ahead at 10 to the power 10 Hertz, we will have a drop in the polarization. This is due to the orientation polarization, because it cannot follow the frequency. That's why it will lose some energy or it will lose some polarization. Again, at 10 to the power 13 Hertz, orientation polarization will drop, and lastly 10 to the power 15 Hertz, electronic polarization. So if you have a sample, if you have a dielectric sample, and if you are applying field to that dielectric sample, and if you are continuously increasing the field, there is some point after that the dielectric sample will get converted into the conductor, or it will lose its dielectric properties. So that higher limit of the electric field we can call as dielectric field strength. This will tell the strength of the material to sustain or to hold the electric field. Suppose if we keep on increasing the electric field, at one point the current through the sample will increase dramatically, means exponentially, and that's why due to that it will have a localized melting. The sample will melt at some local points. It will also burn or it will also vaporize, and this can cause irreversible degradation and the failure of the material. This phenomena we can call as dielectric breakdown. In this table we can see the dielectric constant at 60 Hertz and 10 to the power 6 Hertz, and the tan delta at 10 to the power 6 Hertz. Also the dielectric strength in volt per meter for some samples. You can see that typically the dielectric constant is in the range from 2 to 6, and the dielectric strength is from 2 to 100 volts per meter. So depending on your application, you have to choose the material